Okay, so the first thing you'll need to do is once you're logged into Easel, you'll need to create a new project. So click on New Project. And this is what your desktop will generally look like. It's worth noting on the bottom left-hand corner, yours will probably look like this to start with, in inches. Okay, we don't work in inches in Island School, we work in millimeters. So if you click this little button on the bottom left-hand corner, you can change to millimeters. The second thing that you probably want to set up is that you'll want to rename your project. So I'm going to call this Year 9 Media Storage. And then you're going to want to choose your material and set the size of the material. So if you click on this section, we can choose our material first of all. So we will be using birch plywood, so choose birch plywood. The size needs to be a width of 300 millimeters. The length, which is the Y direction, is 148 millimeters, and the thickness of the wood is 10 millimeters. Okay, so I've set my X, Y, and Z dimensions of my birch plywood. The section on the left is the design workspace where you're going to be sort of manipulating all your sizes and shapes. The section on the right is a live preview of what it will look like when the CNC machine cuts it. So on the left hand side, this area here inside the dotted box is your piece of wood. Don't worry too much that it's gone over the edge on the right hand side, that will still be able to be cut out. The only thing you have to be careful of is this red area. If you don't have this red area, it's because you've got the wrong machine set. So you need to go up to Machine and change, I think yours will probably be X-Carve, you need to change it to Carvey. So click on Carvey, hit OK, and you'll get this red area. That's basically the area where the clamp holds the piece of wood down whilst the machine is cutting it out. So it's really important that you don't design any features inside of the red area, otherwise it won't let you cut it. The reason for that is the drill bit that cuts. You don't want that to cut into the clamp. Okay, so the main tools are along the top here. Vast majority of the things you're going to use are probably going to be square or circle based. So if I choose a square, you can see already that it's placed it randomly here, and this is what it looks like. So at the minute, I'm going to change the size of it. So I need to go up to Shape, and I mean, I can just do it sort of by eye, okay, but I want to make this much more accurate. So I can go up to where it says size, and I can set in my size dimensions. So I'm going to have this 50 millimeters by 75 millimeters. Okay, so you can see it automatically adjusts. I then want this to be positioned at, I want to have 30 by 30, so 30 millimeters in the X direction by 30 millimeters in the Y direction. So I want my bottom left corner to start here. So you can see up here there's 5 different reference points. That signifies your reference point is in the middle of your shape. The bottom left, which is the one we're going to use now, is signifying this is my reference point here. So if I want my bottom left corner to be at 30, 30, then I need to select this bottom left as my reference point, and then I change my X to 30 and my Y direction to 30. And now this bottom left corner is exactly on 30, 30 millimeters X and Y direction. If I wanted to add a corner radius, I could add in a 5 millimeter radius, and you'll see that I get curves now on the edges. You can also rotate it as well, but I'm not going to show you that just yet. And then the last thing you need to think about for this shape is how deep you want the cutting bit to cut into the wood. So if I go back to the cut menu, this is my depth gauge. So all the way up here, it'll cut about 1 millimeter into my piece of wood, and I can bring it all the way down and cut the whole way through it using the 10 millimeters. So I'm going to set mine probably at about 5 millimeters. The deeper you go, the longer it's going to take to cut. So at the minute, I can actually click simulate, and I can simulate how long it's going to take. I need to check which tool I'm using up here. So The one we normally would use would be this piece, or this one. We tend not to use these two smaller ones because it just takes a really, really long time. So I'm going to pick this one. So if I click simulate, that's telling me it's going to take about 20 minutes to cut this shape out at a depth of 5mm. If I increase it to 8mm, and now I click simulate, it's now going to take 28 minutes. Okay, so depending on how complex your shape is, if I made my shape, significantly bigger, you're going to see now that's going to take 1 hour 35 minutes. If I bring it back up to 5mm, it'll now take 1 hour 7 minutes. So it's all dependent on your surface area and the depth that you're cutting. Okay, I'm going to resort back to my original size, and I'm going to go for a depth of 5mm. If you wanted to, you can choose what way you want to cut this. So at the minute I'm just cutting out the whole of the inside. I could also cut just an outline path, like this, on the path, outside, sort of around the path, or on the inside of that line. Okay, but I want just it to be a fill, so I'm going to click that one. Once you're ready to do your cutting, you can then go to, if you go to carve, it will then, mine's not connected to the machine right now, but if it's connected to the machine, you'll then be able to work your way through the different checklist points, ready to go, and then before you click cut, you just need to double check with the teacher or technician, and we will hit go. That's the end to that simple tutorial.